Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all having a blessed Sabbath. Thank you so much for your continued support in watching my videos. I've been reading all the comments, and it further inspires me to continue on my path in sharing my testimony. Um, I'm glad to see that it's reaching many folks. Many of you are Seventh-day Adventists that are sharing your views and providing me additional articles and research that I can continue to do. But if you can please continue to share my videos, even to all our brothers and sisters that are not Seventh-day Adventists. The whole idea behind me sharing my testimony to all of you like this is that I want to reach more of my brothers and sisters that have been in the situation that I was years ago, and how I came to this journey and how I came to this path. I am still learning as a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm still trying to understand, learn the Bible, and learn more and incorporate Yeshua every single day. Not just on Sabbath, but just every day incorporate by starting off in the morning with a prayer, whether listening to a sermon, reading a verse in the Bible, or simply hearing the words of Mrs. White, or ultimately the words of Yeshua. And just to incorporate this into the day that, I need to be a better Adventist. I need to be a better Christian every step of the way. What Yeshua wants from us, what He wants from me. I'm hoping that every single day I can do better, be a better Adventist, be a better human being and individual. Because that is my goal. While we are all living in a world where life is so busy, so bustling, and on top of that, we have such unfortunate events happening with Israel and Gaza, with every day the political tension that we see in different countries. You see in the United States and Canada. You go out and walk in the streets, you'll see homelessness everywhere, people suffering. It's a world that unfortunately we're at where it hasn't been the same. It hasn't been the same. It hasn't been the same since the creation of this world, when Adam and Eve came into existence. So it's just something that we need to remind ourselves that while everything is crumbling around us, we still need to maintain our faith, keep our faith strong, and understand that even if things are not going as we expect, know that this is in control of Yeshua. Yeshua has a plan, right? And we are so close to the end of times. We're already, at the last days, and we're so close to that end time. It's so important that we keep that faith strong as much as possible. With that being said, I want to continue on where I left off with my testimony. And it's where I left off the testimony. I mentioned that I met a friend. He's now a very good friend, and a someone in the path of my spiritual journey to that we talk about Yeshua, we talk about the Bible, we talk about the current events, we talk about how we're leading our life even till this day. And when I met him 8 years ago at the same place where we still work in the same place, he helped me, and I almost feel like Yeshua brought him into my life and gave me an opportunity to open my eyes and be guided to that journey. Because when I started talking to him, when he asked me actually about what does Islam believe in, what do Muslims aspire for, right? What's the end goal from Islam perspective? Why do we do certain things, right? Why do we believe in this, right? And we fact check with history. We fact check with what we see in the Quran. But a lot of it, I mentioned that we don't have answers to, right? I think one of the comments in my videos mentioned that you have one of our fellow Adventists used to volunteer in the church, and did all these setting up for a, not just for a sermon, but like in a Catholic church where they would, do all these things. But one of the commandments says that don't never have pictures and images of our Yeshua. And yet they saw that, and that opened their eyes. And I believe that Yeshua helped them to stop and think that, what am I doing? In the commandments, it says right away that I should not be creating images of our Lord, and yet I'm doing that. So things like that, we stop and think, and that is an opportunity that Yeshua is implanting to us, that this is your opportunity to open your eyes, right? And that was an opportunity for me when I met my friend. He was a coworker at the time, but then slowly became a very close friend of mine in this spiritual journey that I'm in, is helping me and teaching me so much. And even till this day, he'll still tell me that you need to focus and read the Bible more, right? I need to open my eyes further, right? So that encouragement I get from him, right? And it makes me further want to learn more and understand more of the Bible. And that's why I said that I'm not a perfect Adventist. I'm still in that journey. I still want to do better, understand more. And when the time comes, right, there's going to be total deception everywhere, and we need to be better equipped in understanding what is considered deception from Satan versus what is really light in the really what Yeshua is to us and what he wants from us. You go to Isaiah 8:20, right? Turn to Yeshua's words, his laws, and the testimony and everything else. If those don't reflect what is in the laws that he has put in and in the testimony, then there's no light in them, right? At the end of times, this is what we need to turn towards. What does Yeshua's law says? And I think the biggest one, going back to what my friend was telling me, because I wanted to be in this journey, I was very intrigued by the Bible. I've been always told throughout my childhood that don't follow any other religions. They are blasphemy. They are, they're not. They're just leading to a path towards Satan, right? And for the first time for me to open the Bible, I at first was very reluctant, very hesitant to do, because it's so ingrained in my in my mind and throughout my life that, I'm a Muslim. Why am I opening a Bible? My parents told me never to open any other holy scriptures other than the Bible, other than the Quran, sorry. And for me to open the Bible and for reading it, starting from Genesis, it was very clear. It was easy to understand, and at the same time, it was peaceful. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt very peaceful. That this is how Yeshua created the world, and it's so chronologically put together, but how beautifully it's written and described. It almost felt that so peaceful, and more like you can leave it in Yeshua's hands. He is our sovereign. He is the one that we just need to believe and trust in. Like, as soon as I started reading Genesis, right, then you go into the next books, right, from Exodus to Leviticus, right, you start reading, and everything has a reason to it. In Leviticus, it's very clear what we should not be eating. Let's just put it that way, right? Yeshua put it in exactly what we should be eating, what we should eat, right? What's available for us to eat versus what we shouldn't be, right? Any type of carcasses or the bottom feeders, right? We should not be the sea. We should not even be eating it, right? And when you read it, it's like, well, why, right? Like, it clearly says in the Bible that we should not even be consuming pig, right? But when you look at it from a health perspective, you'll see there's so many studies of when you look at pork and foods that we consume, why it's not good for our health. But this was already mentioned in the Bible that we should not be eating it. and there's a reason why. And you can see the reason to today when you look at the studies where how, for instance, pork is completely unhealthy for your health, completely unhealthy. But that was already disclosed to us in the Bible years ago why we shouldn't be. So it's all methodical. It's everything there in the Bible for our best interest. We have many people, many Christians that unfortunately they will, ignore what is told to us in the Bible, what is in our best interest, right? But then later in our life, when we find out that, oh, shoot, I should not be eating that. This is what's happened to my body, right? This is how every day my body is deteriorating from these actions that I'm doing against the Bible. And we ultimately realize it too late, right? So it's just things like that. I start to notice that I can really use the Bible in my life. The words that are in the Bible are so true. And let's not forget the biblical prophecy, the prophetic chain of events that we see in history, right? From Babylon, from Medo-Persia to, from Greeks to Roman Empire. That prophetic chain that we see, it happened in history, right? It was already disclosed to us much before it happened, where the Bible came to life, right? So when you see such a powerful statements and this prophetic change that we see, right, from everything that we're seeing in history, everything was told years in the Bible, much before these events happened. How is that possible, right? When you ask a lot of Christians, when you ask a lot of people that don't believe in the Bible, they don't know what to say to that. They don't know how to respond to it. Or if they try to respond to it, when you see the Roman Catholic Church or priests, it doesn't make sense, right? When I go to an imam about this, right? They can't even explain to me either, right? So that to me shows that how powerful our Bible is, and Yeshua is the one and only, right? The Bible has been given to us as the main and only scripture that we should be following, and it's there. When many Christians and many people say that, like, well, we're in this world, there's no guidance, there's Yeshua, the God did not give us anything. Of course he did. We have the Bible, right? We have the Bible, and then on top of that, it's reinforced by Mrs. White's writings too, right? If you go back in 1844, the Great Disappointment, when Mrs. White brings up the writings and again recaptures what the Bible is, it's reigniting what we should believe. It's almost like the final opportunity from Yeshua that, you know what, I'm giving you this final opportunity, grasp on it, hone on it, and build that faith from it. And so as I was reading the Bible, as I was not just reading but studying and listening to sermons and all the even videos in YouTube that you'll see, or you'll see who I follow too, you're completely immersed in understanding that, oh my goodness, I am so glad that I took this opportunity. Yeshua presents every opportunity to each one of us to open our eyes and direct ourselves back to Yeshua, back to our God. And I feel very, very fortunate and I know for sure that Yeshua led me to that journey. The fact that I listened to my friend, opened the Bible, started studying with him, right? This was also for him, it's an opportunity to share whatever he knows, share the truth, right? And it got to a point where, I started to lose my grasp from Islam and started to focus more on the Bible. And as I started studying it, reading it, in October of 2021, I baptized to and became a 7-day Adventist. At a local church, and it was a new me, right? When you go through that baptism, it is a new revival. It's a new me, where I am now grasping the to become an Adventist, to be an Adventist. I'm shedding that old life, that sinful life, to a new life where I could continue on that trend, on to that path that Yeshua has provided. So I again, till this day, I haven't told my parents that I'm baptized, right? And I'm waiting, and I know that Yeshua will give me that opportunity when I will share it, because I do, like, I'm etching to tell them the truth, right? To share the word, but I also know that Yeshua will give me an opportunity when the time is ready to do it. And I'm not afraid that they're gonna reject the truth, or yes, I am concerned how they're going to react to it. But at the end of the day, it's still my responsibility to share the truth with them, because I also want them to be saved as well, right? But at the end of the day, it's up to them, right? So it's that. And then since 2021, when I got baptized, I've continued on my path. Every Saturday, I'm observing my Sabbath. I could definitely do better. Okay. I know where my shortcomings are. I know where I still need to work on, but I'm trying. I'm trying to present myself in front of my Lord, in front of my Yeshua, and asking for forgiveness for mistakes that I've made during the week, and or opportunities that I could have done better. And we're not perfect. Yeshua knows that, because we have the sinful nature, especially since that transgression of law that happened at the time of Adam and Eve. We do have that sinful nature, but it is on us to fight past that, work past that, right? Even like from temperaments, right? How we behave, right? Individuals will have anger issues, or have the sense that they have to lie every single time, right? We have all these tendencies in our day-to-day, but it's important that we recognize it and we work hard to get past those shortcomings that makes us unfortunately vulnerable, but makes us kind of move 10 steps back from the progress that we have made. I have a slight anger issue, okay? And I've been working towards in how to maintain my anger, and how to maintain that to close that off, right? Listen, hear, slow down, breathe, right? I'm doing all these exercises. I don't have like a major anger management issue, but at times it flares up, right? If I'm thinking about something, or if I'm passionate about something, it flares up. But this is what Satan wants, though, right? Because that's being recorded up in heaven, right? That on this day, this is how I reacted when I shouldn't have, right? But that's also kind of like a brownie point for Satan, that, hey, she, became angry on such a trivial thing, right? I was talking to the same friend this morning, where, in Latin America, there is this thing called telenovela, where they're considered soap operas, right? And every single day at night, you'll have Latin families that will just sit in front of the TV, and there's always a villain in these soap operas. And then there's a victim too, that keeps falling in prey of the villain's ploy or tactic. And every night, these families, when they're watching in front of those soap operas, they're always exhibiting anger and frustration. Like, why isn't this victim seeing what that villain is doing, right? Why is she keep following in their trap, right? They have that anger, that frustration every single night. But for what? right? But for what? It's not even real. The frustration and the anger that they're displaying, or how invested they are in that emotion, where they're yelling and screaming in front of the TV. But that, for Satan, is like he's achieving that goal because he made us, these people, to be angry about something that's not even real. But having that anger, having that pride or ego, that resentment, frustration, these are emotions that makes us deteriorate from a spiritual level, because they go to bed at night all frustrated with that telenovela, that soap opera, and it keeps deteriorating every single day as they're watching that, right? The same frustration comes with also the event that we're seeing with Israel and Gaza, right? I talk to people, I'm even at times I get frustrated. We're all frustrated that when will this end? When will this suffering end? When will people stop dying? When will women, children die and suffer every single day? And we're so invested in that emotion. We're so frustrated. We're so angry. But that is also what Satan wants. He's provoking that emotion out of us, making us more vulnerable and deteriorating our spiritual mentality and physicality that we have towards Yeshua. In fact, we should be changing that emotion and looking towards in praying, keeping our faith strong, knowing that Yeshua is not deaf, he's not blind, he can see everything. He knows what's going on, he knows what Satan is doing to this world, and he will put an end to this, right? We need to have that faith. We need to be strong in that and get that understanding that, with the what happened with Charlie Kirk a couple of days ago, right? I'm sure there's many of us are frustrated and angry that, he had two young children and he had a wife and he died so young. This is a complete, a political assassination that's happened, right? People are becoming more unrest, thinking that there is a potential civil war. We know from Mrs. White's writing that there is going to be a civil war in U.S., right? But keeping that aside, we have all sorts of emotions. We see it in the news where people are frustrated, angry, worried, but a lot more anger. But going back to it, this is where it is part of Satan's plan. It's so easy for us to get so wiped into an emotion, and we don't realize that we're falling in Satan's plan, right? We're falling in what Satan wants ultimately. I'm going to ask, and I'm doing this for myself too, to my brothers and sisters, keep that faith strong in Yeshua. No, don't be swiped into these emotions, but understand that Yeshua knows everything, can see everything, can hear our prayers, and we need to continue praying. With all these events that are happening, we're not going to see better days. We know that. We're not going to see better days. Things are going to be even worse and much worse. And this is where it's so important that as brothers and sisters in the Adventist community, we keep strong in our faith and stay connected that way. We'll help each other, help others that are still trying to seek for truth when we still have time. So with that being said, I'm going to leave off now, and I'll continue on in my testimony next week. Thank you so much, everyone, for your continued support. Please continue to share my videos to brothers and sisters that are still trying to seek for truth, that still need that motivation and inspiration, that it is not too late to start studying the Bible, start completely immersing ourselves in Yeshua, and start continuing to build onto our faith. Thank you so much, and I hope you all continue to have a blessed Sabbath.